You ever get that feeling? Like you see this new software online. It's supposed to be like a total game changer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But then you actually click on it, and it's just like this wall of jargon.
Yeah, totally. It's like suddenly you need a PhD to even understand what it does.
Exactly. And it makes you kind of wary, doesn't it? Like, if I don't even get what it is, how can I trust it?
For sure. That's where I think these sauce explainer videos come in. They can be super smart.
Yeah. And that's what we're diving into today. We've been checking out this awesome article called 20 Best Sauce Explainer Videos to Inspire You. It even has some case studies, which is cool.
Nice.
So basically, our mission for this deep dive is to figure out what makes these videos tick. Like, how do they take these complex ideas and turn them into something we can all understand, whether we're tech wizards or, just regular folks.
Yeah, because it's not just about listing features, right? It's about
Yeah.
making people actually get it.
Totally. And we're going to look at all kinds of approaches, from animation to even some live action stuff. By the end, hopefully, we'll have a much better idea of what really works, what
Yeah.
makes a video stand out from all the noise online.
Looking forward to it. Should we jump right in?
Let's do it. So the first one that really caught my eye was Hootsuite. Their video starts off with this super relatable scenario, how social media can feel like this big party that you're not invited to.
Oh, yeah. The FOMO is real.
Right, like everyone's having fun and you're just kind of stuck on the outside, and then boom, they hit you with the solution. You can have your own party.
Clever. It's that classic problem-solution structure, but it really works because that whole missing out feeling is so universal.
Totally. And the article actually calls it the forbidden fruit analogy. Like, we naturally want what we think we can't have. So they're making you want to be part of that social media buzz.
Smart move. By the way, the video itself is really well made, too.
Oh, yeah. Visually, it's fantastic. The illustrations are unique, the animations are super smooth, and the storyline is engaging. It just shows how important the visuals are, right?
Absolutely. It's like in this world where everyone's bombarded with content all the time, you got to grab their attention with something visually appealing, too.
Totally agree. Okay, so next up we've got Droplet. Their video takes a slightly different approach. It's all about building their brand right from the start.
Oh, interesting. How do they do that?
Well, their whole video is built around their logo. It's like
Yeah.
they take the logo and morph it into all these different recognizable elements throughout the video. It's super clever.
That's really cool. And I bet it's super effective for brand recognition, just kind of subtly embedding that image in your mind.
Exactly. The article was saying that it's something for like any SaaS company to think about, especially if they already have, strong branding. Like, how can you weave that into your video in a creative way?
Yeah, because just slapping a logo at the end isn't enough anymore. You got to be more subtle.
Totally. Another thing Droplet does well, and the article points this out, is they use these real-life case recreations. So it's not just like abstract talk about how the product could help. It's showing you actual scenarios that you might relate to, in your own work or life.
Right. That makes it so much more tangible, right? You can
Yeah.
actually visualize yourself using the product and seeing the benefits.
Exactly. It's like seeing is believing. Okay, moving on, let's talk about Airtable. Their video has gotten like nearly 300,000 views, which is huge.
Wow, that's impressive. What's their secret sauce?
I think it's actually the simplicity. They don't try to get too fancy or clever. They just focus on clearly showing you what the product does and how it can benefit you.
Sometimes that's all you need. Just a straightforward explanation without all the bells and whistles.
Right. It's like cut through the noise and get to the point.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's been so successful. It's just like pure clarity.
Makes sense. People appreciate that. Especially when it comes to software, they just want to know how it can make their lives easier.
Exactly. Okay, now let's get a little wild. GitHub's video is kind of a rule breaker in a good way. They totally ditch that typical under 90-second rule that a lot of explainers follow.
Oh, interesting. So they're going long form.
Yeah. And they don't even really start with a problem. It feels more like a really well-made brand commercial.
I'm intrigued. What's the vibe like?
Super cool. The animation is captivating. It's got this kind of futuristic style, and the narrative is really engaging.
Sounds like they know their audience well.
Yeah.
Developers, right. They probably appreciate that kind of sophisticated visual storytelling.
Exactly. The article talks about how they're not afraid to break the mold and do something different. And it works. It's memorable, and people are more likely to share it.
Yeah, just you don't always have to follow the formula. Sometimes shaking things up can really pay off.
For sure. Now, DigitalOcean, they went in a totally unexpected direction. Their video is all about the ocean.
Wait, really? What does the ocean have to do with software?
Absolutely nothing. And the article makes that point, too. It's kind of brilliant, though. They're using this like marine theme to create positive associations. The ocean is vast, it's fluid, it's calming.
Interesting. So they're basically trying to make you feel good about their brand by associating it with something positive.
Exactly. And it makes them stand out too, right? It's not something you see every day.
Yeah, for sure. It's like a breath of fresh air in a sea of, well, software videos.
Exactly. Okay, so Shopify Flow, their video is a great example of how to use both animation and live action footage.
Ah, the best of both worlds. I've seen some really good ones that do that.
Right. It's like you get the clarity of animation for explaining the software, but then you also get that human element with the live action
Yeah.
stuff.
It makes it more relatable. Like you can actually see how people might use the product in their everyday lives.
And for SaaS products, it's also about communicating the vision, right? Like not just what the software does, but how it can actually make your life better.
Yeah, I get that. It's about painting a bigger picture. All right, what's next?
So Google, being Google, they always like to do things their own way. Their explainer video for Google Password Manager is a good example of how to balance like innovation with brand consistency.
Makes sense. They've got such a strong brand, they don't want to stray too far from it.
Right. So they're using these dynamic animations, but they're created by like manipulating shapes, which is very Google-y. But the animation style is actually a lot calmer than their usual stuff, which is usually super bright and energetic.
Interesting. So they're adapting their style to fit the product. Like a password manager should feel secure and reliable, so the animation reflects that.
Exactly. It's subtle, but it makes a difference. The article pointed out that it's a good lesson in like how to experiment with different styles while still staying true to your brand.
Makes sense. You can be creative, but you don't want to lose that brand recognition.
Totally. All right, we can't talk about sauce explainer videos without mentioning the OG Dropbox.
Ah, yes. The one that started it all.
Right. Their early explainer video, the article calls it, like the foundation for everything that came after. It's pretty simple by today's standards, but its impact was huge.
Yeah, I remember that video. It came out when cloud storage was still a new concept. It did a great job of explaining it simply.
Exactly.
Oh.
Didn't have fancy music or anything, but it clearly explained what Dropbox was, what problem it solved, and why you needed it.
And it worked. It helped them get funding and convinced tons of people to start using cloud storage.
Totally. The key takeaway, according to the article, is that sometimes clarity is king. Just focusing on the core message and the problem you're solving, even without all the bells and whistles.
Makes sense. Sometimes simplicity is the most effective approach, especially when you're dealing with a new concept.
Okay, moving on to Second.md. Their video is a good example of what the article calls the explain and offer approach.
Okay, I'm curious about that one. What's that all about?
Basically, it's about like explaining a more complex service, like
Yeah.
healthcare in this case, and then immediately offering a clear benefit. It's particularly useful for like SaaS companies too, where things can get a bit complicated.
Yeah, because you need to make sure people understand what the service is before you can even begin to sell them on the benefits.
Exactly. And Second.md does this really well in a short amount of time, like under a minute. They manage to explain their service and tell you how it can directly benefit you.
That's impressive. Being concise is key, especially online where people's attention spans are like super short.
Totally. Now, Mailchimp, they're kind of the kings of explainer videos, according to the article. And their animation style is always top-notch.
Yeah, I've seen a few of their videos. They've got that really fun candy-colored animation style.
Right. It's so eye-catching. It makes you stop and watch.
Right.
And the article was saying that it's a great example of how a strong, consistent animation style can become a huge asset for your brand.
Makes sense. It's like their signature. You see it and you instantly know it's Mailchimp.
It's exactly. Okay, Zendesk. Their video is interesting because it kind of flips the script on the typical problem solution structure.
Oh, how so?
Well, instead of starting with a problem, they actually begin by talking about the problems people have with existing AI solutions.
That's a bold move, but I can see how it might be effective.
Right. It's like they're acknowledging the elephant in the room, like, yeah, other AI solutions might not be cutting it. And then they present their solution as like the answer to those frustrations.
Smart. It's like preemptively addressing potential objection.
Exactly. And the article says that it works particularly well for audiences who are maybe already familiar with AI
Yeah.
and like maybe even disillusioned with it.
Yeah, because they're speaking directly to that experience. It's like, we get it. We've been there. Here's something better.
Totally. Now, Glassify, their video stands out because it focuses really heavily on like the specific challenges faced by their target audience.
So they're not just talking about product in a vacuum.
Nope. They're really digging into the pain points of their ideal customer, the things that keep them up at night.
That's smart. Because in a crowded market, you got to show that you understand your customers' needs better than anyone else.
Exactly. The article calls it relevance. It's like making that instant connection with the viewer by showing them that you get it, you get their struggles.
And when you feel understood, you're more likely to listen, right?
Totally. Okay, Tendered. Their video got my attention because it absolutely nails the tone.
Oh, interesting. What kind of tone are we talking about?
What's this, like, tough, masculine feel? And it's not just the words they use, it's everything. The voiceover, the music, the pacing of the visuals, it all contributes to this vibe.
That's clever. They're clearly targeting a specific demographic and using every element of the video to appeal to them.
Exactly. It's like they're speaking their language without even having to say it explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
And the article pointed out how important that kind of nonverbal communication can be in a video.
Yeah, for sure. It's about creating a feeling, an atmosphere that resonates with your audience on a deeper level.
Totally. All right, let's talk about Slack. Their Slack versus email video is bold, to say the least.
Okay, tell me more about that.
They're not even comparing themselves to other chat platforms. They're direct competitors. They're going straight for email.
Wow, that's ambitious. But I guess email is still the king of business communication.
Exactly. And they're positioning themselves as like the email killer. The article calls it a culture-shifting strategy. They want to change the way we work and communicate.
That's a big goal. It's not just about selling a product. It's about changing mindsets.
Totally. It's pretty inspiring, actually. Now, NordVPN, their video is visually stunning.
Yeah.
It's like this whole journey that they take you on.
Oh, cool. What kind of visuals are we talking about?
Well, it's a mix of everything. Motion graphics, live action footage, sleek animations, really glossy visuals. And they use all of this to show this transformation from, like, internet insecurity to this safe, modern online experience.
Nice. So they're using the visuals to tell a story and evoke a feeling of security and freedom.
Exactly. They're making you feel like their product is the key to unlocking this new, better world online.
It's all about that emotional connection, right? Making you feel like you need this product to truly be safe and free online.
Totally. Freshworks, they do something really cool that the article highlights. They prioritize diversity in their videos.
Oh, that's great. I think that's super important.
Right, especially in live action videos, like seeing people of different races, ages, backgrounds. It makes the videos feel much more real and relatable for a wider audience.
Totally agree. Representation matters. It makes people feel seen and heard, and it builds trust with the brand.
Exactly. And it shows that the product is for everyone. It's not just targeted at one specific group.
It makes a huge difference. It's about creating a sense of inclusivity. All right, what else have we got?
Okay, Attentive's video uses some pretty interesting psychological tactics.
Oh, really? Like what?
The article specifically mentioned this neurolinguistic approach where they start by saying things that are basically absolute truths, things you can't really disagree with.
Okay, I see where this is going. Get you nodding along in agreement.
Exactly. And then they transition to, like, promoting their product as the solution to achieve those truths.
Clever. It's like subtly leading you down a path where their product seems like the obvious answer.
Right. It's pretty subtle, but it can be really effective. Okay, Asana. Their demo video is visually interesting because they use this mixed media approach.
Mixed media. What does that mean in this context?
Well, it's basically combining real-life images with, like, stylized illustrations. And they use this to, like, bridge the gap between the digital world and the real world.
Oh, I get it, because software can feel kind of abstract, so this makes it more tangible.
Exactly. And Asana does it really well. They've got a really strong brand aesthetic, so it all comes together in a visually pleasing way.
Makes sense. It's like they're not just showing you the software, they're creating an experience.
Totally. Now, Remote PC, their story is fascinating because it shows the power of, like, strategic repositioning.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
So they didn't even change their product that much, but they rebranded it to capitalize on the whole work-from-home trend.
Smart move. They saw a shift in the market and adapted their messaging to meet that new demand.
Exactly. And it worked. They basically turned their existing product into a must-have tool for this new work-from-home world.
It shows that marketing is about more than just the product itself. It's also about positioning and timing.
For sure. Okay, last but not least, Intercom. Their explainer video is only 30 seconds long, and it's a great example of less is more.
30 seconds. Wow, that's short.
Right. But it works because they focus on just one key benefit, like the absolute most important thing their target audience needs from online support software.
Makes sense. When you're looking for a tool like that, you probably have a specific problem you need to solve.
Exactly. And Intercom gets straight to the point, no fluff, just the solution. It's super effective.
It's like a laser-focused message that cuts through all the clutter.
Okay, so, wow, we covered a lot. It's clear that SaaS explainer videos are like this powerful tool. There's so many ways to make them effective, but it all boils down to understanding your audience, communicating your value, and doing it in a way that grabs their attention.
Totally. And what's cool is that even though the styles and approaches can be so different, the underlying principles are pretty consistent. It's all about being clear, connecting with your audience, and highlighting the benefits.
Makes you think, right? Like, what if we applied these same principles to explaining other complex things in our lives, not just software?
That's a great point. It's about taking those ideas of clarity, audience focus, and highlighting the benefits and applying them to any kind of communication challenge.
Totally. Food for thought, right?
Absolutely.
Well, that's it for our deep dive into SaaS explainer videos. Hopefully you got some new ideas and insights to take away.
It's been a fascinating exploration.
Definitely. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Until next time.
See ya.